Welcome to the Nisai Global School, a new age school that brings a distinctive British education into the homes of pupils around the world. Nisai Global School combines the best of British tradition with the future of education. Nisai Global School delivers a Cambridge International accredited curriculum from lower secondary to Cambridge International A-levels. We strive to provide every learner with a holistic and personalised learning experience so that they can fulfil their potential. Students experience both structured and self-paced learning activities within a complete school programme in an online platform, the Nisai Virtual Academy. Each pupil, with their own secure username and password, can access all the functions of the school: personalised timetable, house points, announcement board, school email to keep in touch with classmates and teachers, many more. My Courses is where students access their virtual classrooms, as well as learning materials. All lessons are recorded, so pupils can always review the lesson recording. My Folder is where students can download, complete and upload homework and assignments. The Chill Out Zone is a place where pupils from around the world join social clubs and communicate with each other. Students can also seek support from the school office on health, safety, community and their future at the Wellbeing Centre. We always promote the progression of each pupil. Dedicated teachers, form tutors and the customer and student support CAST team support students to achieve their ambitions through personalised learning outcomes. Our live online lessons are delivered in a virtual classroom by qualified teachers, a maximum of 15 pupils per class. Classes are grouped by the student's ability and level of comprehension, so teachers can provide more personalised attention, more one-on-one contact with students. Lessons are always engaging and fully interactive. They use a headset to hear the teacher, see a PowerPoint presentation and participate either verbally using a microphone or by typing in the chat box. At the end of every lesson, the teacher sets a homework assignment. All assignments are marked with detailed feedback. Our online school platform provides a comprehensive reporting suite, allowing partners, customers and parents at any time to check on a student's attendance and participation, homework submissions, grades and end-of-term reports, alongside automated non-attendance alerts. Partners, customers and parents can also log in to their own portal to contact staff at any time for specific queries.
Hello everyone, can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, we can hear you.
Yes. Okay, that's great. That's great. So thank you everyone and welcome to Nisai webinar today. My name is Carl and I will be the host for today's webinar. It is our honor to have you on such important regional webinar. This is an event for parents and students from more than 10 countries in Asia and Western countries. I believe that this will have an enormous impact on our participants here. And before we start, can you please change your names to the names in the sign-up form so we can communicate better? Please, thank you. And on the agenda of this talk show, we will have three main parts. The first part is where our esteemed guests will share with us their experience, their knowledge about Cambridge International Education. The second part is where Nisai parents and students share their experience studying international program. The third part is the Q&A, where the participants will have the chance to voice their questions to our esteemed visitor. Next, I would like to introduce two of our speakers today. They will give us a thorough understanding of how Cambridge International Education's curriculum and qualifications. They will also explain how this program is delivered online by Nisai Global School. from Cambridge International Assessment, I want to introduce Mr. Melvin Lim. He is a senior country manager, Vietnam, Myanmar, Cambodia, and Laos. And coming from Nisai Group UK, I want to introduce Mr. David Lester. He's the director of the group learning services from Nisai. Before we actually go into the first part, I want to remind everyone to turn on the captions. Turn on the captions so that those want to enjoy the webinar in Vietnamese can also understand what's going on. Okay, so now for the first part, the presentations, Mr. Melvin Lim will be the first to start our webinar and then followed by Mr. Lester. I would like both of you, before making your presentations, would introduce a little bit about yourself. Mr. Lim will help our students and parents understand what is special about the Cambridge International Curriculum and why it is suitable for those students. Everyone, please welcome Mr. Melvin Lim.
Thank you. Thank you, all the participants for joining this evening, the webinar that's organized by Nisai. And thank you, Nisai, for inviting me to the session. My name is Melvin. I'm the Senior Country Manager for Cambridge. I'm looking after countries such as the Vietnam, Myanmar, Cambodia, and Laos. I've been with Cambridge for more than 10 years and helping various schools in terms of the applying of the Cambridge program. And it's a great pleasure to be working together with Nisai to talk to parents about Cambridge International. Now, I think I'll pass to David to introduce himself, or shall I start my presentation?
I think you can start your presentations. Mr. David will come later.
Okay, sure, will do. So what I'll do is I would like to share my slides, and then we'll just go through the presentation based on my slides. So can all of you see the slide?
Yes, I can see the slides.
Great, thank you. Okay, so before I talk about Cambridge, right, I think we need to understand or give a bit of perspective about education, how things are at this moment. You know, a generation ago, teachers could be expected what they taught would last their students a lifetime. But today, due to the rapid economic and social changes, schools actually have to prepare students for jobs that have not been created, technologies that have not been invented, and to deal with problems that we do not know will arise. If you look at this particular statement, it was actually issued in 2010, yet it's still relevant today after 12 years. And I'm sure even after many more years, this particular statement that's coming out from OECD will still be relevant. So this actually emphasized that, you know, in the future, the educational system is not and cannot be only focused about, you know, just knowledge and skills, but we need to provide to a lot of students the capability in which they become lifelong learners. They need to be equipped with all this kind of what we call basic competencies of literacy, maths and science, technology, engineering, digital skills, personal, social, and learning how to learn, the global citizenship, entrepreneurship, being multilingual, being cultural, have to have cultural awareness and expressions. So those are important competences that actually the educational systems will actually need to inculcate for the students for the future. So within Cambridge itself, we actually promote things called the Cambridge Learners Attributes, where we want students to actually have these attributes of being confident in working with information and ideas, their own and as well as others, being engaged intellectually and socially, ready to make a difference in their lives as well as their community, being innovative and equipped for new and future challenges, being responsible for themselves, yet being respectful of others' opinions, and very importantly, being reflective as learners and develop the kind of ability to become lifelong learners. Now, a bit about Cambridge International. Cambridge Assessment and the Cambridge University Press were both different organizations, but they have been all merged into one since last year. And Cambridge Assessment International Education, which I represent, is part of the larger Cambridge University Press and Assessment. This merger has taken place to enable Cambridge to better support schools and students worldwide. Now, this gives you a bit of structure to show the various different parts of or elements of Cambridge. And if you look at it, the University of Cambridge actually is the main owners of Cambridge University Press and Assessment. So all the things that we do is pretty much to provide the expertise that we have in terms of research and learning assessment globally for all the schools and students. Around the world, Cambridge is the largest provider of international education for students aged 5 to 19. And every year, more than 1 million students is learning the Cambridge curriculum. Within the region of Southeast Asia and Pacific, Cambridge works with national education and assessment bodies. For example, Singapore engages Cambridge to produce the Singapore Cambridge O-level and A-level exams. In Brunei, the students, the national students actually take the IGCSE as a Brunei kind of national exam. So this shows the recognition that governments around the world have of the Cambridge qualifications. Around the world, Cambridge works with more than 10,000 schools in 160 countries and 40 governments. So it's a prestigious organization that has been around for a long time, and we have a certain good track record of working with schools. Now, this is the Cambridge pathway that students can expect when they come in. Now, there are altogether 4 stages from the primary, which is a 6 years program, to the lower secondary program, which is a 3 years, and upper secondary, which the IGCSE is part of it, is a 2 years, and the advanced program, which is the AS and A-level program. Now, I'd just like to raise a bit of awareness that there is also a sister organization called Cambridge Assessment English, or in short, Cambridge English, that produces tests for students who are interested to improving their level of English. So whereas sometimes you may have heard of courses or assessments such as the starter, mover, flyer, and so forth, those are pretty much for students who are learning English as a foreign language. When students actually come on board the Cambridge International Programme, students will be exposed to English at the second language to the first language, and they are learning a lot of these subjects in English, which helps to improve the students' English ability much faster than purely learning English as a subject itself. Now, why Cambridge? Very importantly, let me just share with you a couple of things. Now, firstly, even though we are an UK-based organization, our curriculum has been designed for schools around the world and for learners who are non-native speakers. Right, so that's very important. And our curriculum have been updated regularly in a 3 to 5 year cycle to ensure that they remain relevant to our students when they move on further in their education. Now, secondly, the curriculum that we have are designed and delivered in such a way that each level produces or provides students with the basic foundational knowledge, and then the subsequent level will add on students' knowledge and builds it up in what we call a spiral approach. All this teaching and learning is to help students to gain all those attributes we're talking about, being confident, responsible, reflective, innovative, and engaged. And very important is that within Cambridge itself, we do provide lots of professional development for teachers who are delivering the Cambridge program to ensure that there are effective learning and teaching taking place in the classroom. Now, third of all is that, which we are well known for, which is assessment. Our assessment actually has 2 parts of it. Firstly, is to allow students to show what they have learned in their class, and also to enable them to be improving themselves based on the feedback given by the teachers who are teaching themselves. So it's to prove and also to improve on what of their understanding and their skills. Now, it's also very important that when students actually complete the Cambridge qualification, that the qualification that received are well recognized by governments and universities around the world. Now, in the later part of it, we will be talking about some of the universities that recognizes the Cambridge A-level qualification. Now, when actually schools join the Cambridge, they are also part of the wider Cambridge community. As I mentioned, there are more than 10,000 schools in 160 countries, and we provide opportunities for our teachers and school leaders to interact with one another and ensure that best practices are actually delivered inside the schools and the classrooms. Now, in terms of our curriculum, we do not just purely give out knowledge, but within the way that we design our curriculum is to ensure three things take place. Firstly, is that students will have deep subject knowledge. The way that Cambridge deliver our program is that we are rather focused to making sure that students understand the key concepts of each of the subjects. So rather than covering a lot of subjects, we're making sure that they understand and have strong grasp of those key concepts within those subjects. And once students actually have good conceptual understanding, then it makes it easier for them to progress further in their education. Now, the other thing about the Cambridge program is that we also focus a lot on helping students develop higher order thinking and application skills. Things such as problem solving, working collaboratively, presentation skills, and independent research as well. Now, just to introduce a bit about the Cambridge Primary and Lower Secondary Program. Within both of these stages, these are the subjects offered. Now, we have English as a first language and second language option for students of different abilities in English. We have maths, science, global perspective, art and design, digital literacy, music, computing, and physical education. So, depending on the schools that you go to, sometimes different schools will have different subjects offered. Now, you'll be surprised that actually that the Cambridge program is not just offered in countries which do not have English as a first language, but it's also rather popular in the US itself. So US is one of our biggest market for the Cambridge program. And the program there offered ranges from the primary all the way to the A-level program. Now, I think this is where a lot of students will be interested is the IGCSE program itself. For IGCSE, we currently have 70 subjects available. But when students actually study with a school, say with Nisai, which is an online school, of course, you will not be required to study all 70 subjects. Nisai will be able to offer certain relevant subjects that will be most suitable for you and based on your interests as well. Now, the IGCSE program has been a proven preparation program for students to move on to the Cambridge A-level or other educational system. Now, once students actually complete the IGCSE, they can actually move on to do the AS and A-level program, which are considered the high school qualifications. Once actually students are at this level, they will start to specialize in particular number of subjects. So typically students at the A level or AS and A level will be doing something like 3 to 5 subjects here. At this level, as I mentioned, students are actually aiming to enter into a particular faculty within the undergraduate program itself. Now, as I mentioned, the US is a very important market for us, and there are quite a number of the state schools in US that offers the Cambridge program to students who are more capable. So, for example, this student particular here, which graduated in 2019, she's learning in a high school, or she was learning in a high school in the Florida itself. And this particular student actually took on the Cambridge program to gain what we call credit limit, college credits. So students actually who have completed the AS and A level well, with anything above an E grade, will be able to get college credit when they apply into a US university system. Now, research, right? This is a piece of research that was done a couple of years ago, and apparently there's also a new one out, but this is the first research we've done. It was based on 8,500 students which have done their, who were studying at Florida State University. What it did show is that students who have completed the A-level program, the US students, right, who have completed the A-level program did much better than the US national rates itself. And students who have completed the A-level program were more likely to complete their degree as compared to students who did not do the A-level and went for alternatives, something like called the AP or the Advanced Placement Program itself. And even compared very well to students who have also done the IB. Now, as I said, there is a more recent report that will be issued, I think will be shared quite soon. And that recent report also done at this Florida State University showed the same result, that Cambridge A-level was the better course to preparing students for university studies. Students who actually completed the AS and A-level qualification will each receive a general A-level certificate, advanced level certificate of education, which states the syllabus they have taken and the grades that they achieve. Students will also receive a statement to say a result to say that how well they've done. Now, there is a possibility if students who have completed certain subjects be awarded the ACE diploma for student ACE diploma, but that requires a separate administration. Now, an ACE diploma is rather popular in the US. Is to define students who actually have completed 6+1 credit. Right, the 6 credit comes from a mix of 4 different subject groups, plus they will need to do one subject called the global perspective itself. This is something that you might want to talk to Nisai if you're interested in that. Once students actually completed the A-level, they can apply to almost any top university in the world, of course, depending on the student's result. In the US itself, more than 800 universities, including all the Ivy League universities, understand what does the Cambridge A-level qualification represent. And many of these universities will provide college credit to students who have successfully completed the A-level qualification with an E grade and above. Now, the Cambridge AS level qualification has also been accepted for entry into the first year of the US State University. However, if students are interested to apply to the UK, then they should complete the full A-level qualification. Now, there are many other universities around the world in Australia, Canada, Germany, Malaysia, Singapore that also accepts the Cambridge A-level qualification. To find out more, please visit the recognition.cambridgeinternational.org website, in which you can do a filtering down of the countries and qualifications and then by universities to show which university accepts the qualification and if the universities provide any form of recognition or credit award for students who complete the A-levels. Here are some statements by the well-known universities from US like Yale, MIT. Now, MIT itself has given us an explicit statement to show that students who have been accepted into their program will receive 9 to 12 credits if they have gotten A or B grade in these subjects of biology, chemistry, maths, physics, humanities, and social science. Now, these are things that you can see within the recognition page. So if you are sure or make your decision as to which universities to apply for in the future, please make use of the recognition function on the Cambridge International website. Here are also statements from Boston, Cornell universities. So we have received many kind of feedback from deans of admission or admission officers in all these universities that they are really impressed with the kind of candidates with the A-level qualification. A-level students are well prepared in the sense that, as I mentioned earlier, there are lots of skills that are built into our curriculum or allow students to develop those skills, such as problem solving, working collaboratively, presentation, independent research, and so forth. Okay, so this is something like what we have mentioned earlier about the US universities, all right? As I mentioned earlier, AS levels are accepted into many 2 years college for their associate degree program and 4 years undergraduate program itself. Right. So here is by state and by system. Now, if you're coming from Vietnam and you would like to actually apply to a Vietnamese universities, you can be assured that actually the Cambridge A-level qualification also has been given explicit recognition by the universities on this list. And I'll say that in the number of universities that are interested to recognize the Cambridge qualification is growing. Now, going back a bit about the Cambridge schools itself, for schools that are interested to be the Cambridge program, you'll be interested to know that we actually do work closely with school to ensure that they have a proper mission, vision, and educational values. There is a good kind of educational management and leadership team. And there is also a good approach in place to teaching and learning. There are requirements in which teachers attend professional development, or schools actually have professional development policies. The physical environment need to be conducive for teaching. But in this case, if it's Nisai, then we want to make sure that the Nisai system is conducive for learning online. And there's also a requirement that when we work with schools, offline, online, that students have access to examination, and for offline schools, that they actually have the ability to securely administer our exams. And last but not least, all the schools that we work with must have proper legal permission to operate or to offer our qualifications. Now, education is most effective when the curriculum, teaching, learning, and assessment is closely aligned. And this is something that we focus a lot within Cambridge itself. So just to round out a little bit about what was mentioned, okay, is that schools actually can take the Cambridge qualifications with the various subjects and can shape the curriculum to suit what is required by students in terms of learning. And the Cambridge program, is there. It's not just about learning of the knowledge, but it's also to help them to gain deeper appreciation of the subjects and the skills that need to be successful in the future. Our curriculum has been properly designed such that it's coherent approach, using the spiral approach to ensure that certain key concepts and knowledge and ideas are repeated each time at a higher level throughout the years itself. So the Cambridge program, in short, will help students develop the kind of skills and knowledge that you need in life and achieve success at school, university, and at work. Now, if you have any other questions, please feel free to stay to the end of the session, and then we can do a Q&A afterwards. But if you have other questions, you also can email to me at melvin.lim@cambridge.org. Thank you very much for attending my session. I shall pass it back to the host.
Thank you. Thank you, Melvin, for a highly informative sessions. I hope that these presentations will provide parents and students with essential knowledge about the Cambridge International Curriculum. And talking about online learning, some parents and students are familiar with distance learning through short online courses. However, to have their children enroll and study in an online school is a whole new concept. So to help parents and students understand better the concept of online schooling, I would like to invite Mr. David Lester to present about Nisai Global School, the first and so far only Cambridge online school in Vietnam. Please welcome David.
Thanks very much. And Melvin, every time I hear you speak, it makes me realise and re-see this synergy between Cambridge and also Nisai. So thanks for going through that. So hello to everyone. Thanks for joining us today. Just going to start sharing my screen. I know we have partners, parents and children from a number of countries joining us today. So just to give you a bit of background, my name is David Lester. I'm the Group Learning Services Director for Nisai Group. Within that, we have Nisai Global School. It's my 10th year with Nisai, and I am here to support our teams internationally as well as in the UK to then support our parents, schools we work with, and also, most importantly, our students. So what I would like to do today, let me just do that, is cover a number of points. So firstly, for those who don't know about Nisai, to go through the context and the background, so you know who we are. Go through our experience in supporting students in countries on improving skills in English. And one of the things Melvin mentioned when not just looking at the learner attributes, but also this bit about skills and the fact that development is more than just the knowledge aspect. Also looking at our solutions for education, our solutions in particular for those who are gifted and talented or with high learning potential, as well as looking at the international pathways. Melvin's gone through that in some great detail. I'll just be covering it at a slightly different level. So first off, Nisai Group. So we have been delivering quality assured online education now for over 25 years. We have learned a huge amount over that time. This bit about how long lessons need to be, what the teacher and student ratios are, so how big the classes are, and that allows us to work within best practice when it comes to the delivery of our lessons. We have a board of governors with over 120 years experience in the education sector, and our involvement with Cambridge International is coming up to three and a half years now. We are an approved Cambridge International online school. We're one of a small number of organisations. I think the joint values and curriculum offers work very, very well to provide opportunities for our students. In the UK, we're approved by the Department for Education under a thing called Section 41. But ultimately, what we look at is a focus on inclusivity and pathways and the improvement of impact and outcomes for children. Those outcomes could be university, it may be apprenticeships, workplace, further or higher education. So it's very much for us about what that personal and individual outcome is to each and every student. When we talk about inclusivity, that could be those from mainstream school or special education needs, but also from countries. And in very few cases could you have what Nisai have, which is a classroom full of students from anything up to 10, 15 different countries, but everyone working at a similar level. We also work with organisations including UNESCO, Institute for Information Technology and Education, and that's allowed us to develop and deliver programs relating to the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals agenda, looking at poverty, diversity, and also education as goal number 4. So we start off about the development of English, and this is a really important point to go through. So there are 1.35 billion people who speak English. The majority aren't native English speakers. However, 360 million speak English as their first language. And again, referring back to Melvin's presentation, this ability to be able to deliver English to those where it's a first language or a second language is really important, but also at a lower level and beginner level, being able to engage our students in English when it isn't their first language is really important. English is by far the most commonly studied foreign language in the world, and improved levels of English creates greater opportunity for students in learning locally and overseas And as Melvin was talking there about universities in the US as well as other countries, and that transition from going from Vietnam to an overseas university will always be that bit more smoother if our students can converse in local language. It's also there to support adults working in global markets, and also those working in sectors such as teaching and hospitality. One of the things which I will discuss is the Nisai programme, Passport to Work, which is there to introduce our students to work-based sectors. So developing English with 21st century skills. We have a range of long-term accredited courses. We look at IGCSEs, but also English for speakers of other languages. And that's based on the Common European Framework of Reference. As well as those long-term programs, we also have short-term boosters for those who have a pre-existing knowledge of English, who want to improve it, and possibly get to a sort of more intermediate level of competency. There's different courses for different need and different student need. And whether that be children or adults, we have supported school-aged children, we've supported their parents, and we've also supported learners in picking up English within the workplace. Our project-based learning and courses, such as the Sustainable Development Goals programme. Whilst learning a topic, we're also there embedding skills in English as well as mathematics as well. So it's learning the language in a slightly different way. It's not about doing an English lesson. It's about learning about environmental issues, conservation, poverty, but doing that within the English language. And our work within Passport to Work programme contextualises English for the workplace. We found, especially over the last couple of years, that we have been improving English for not just students in big cities, but also those in rural areas. And as well as our live lessons and our teacher-led lessons, we've also introduced now 2 further programmes, one which is Units of Sound, which has been developed to promote independent learning and learning the use of sounds within creating words. That then goes to improve levels of reading and writing. We also have Word Q through our relationship with an organisation called Quillsoft. And what Word Q does is it helps those who are learning English to get their thoughts that they might have in their head down onto the keyboard or onto paper. And it allows students to be able to participate in their learning rather than just having to sit back and spectate. Putting teaching into practice, our teachers deliver the course are all subject specialists. They all have extensive knowledge on English or where they're teaching other subjects such as science, history. Just go back. Science or history or ICT, they'll all be qualified in being able to deliver that. And our resources and schemes of work have all been quality assured by our senior UK teachers to ensure that the quality standards that you would expect are all in place, irrespective of where our teachers are based. So looking at solutions for education. Our beliefs are that the learner is the sole owner of the learning process. They have their part to play. Our students, we encourage to take ownership for their learning and following in the instruction and the engagement of our teachers. We find a Nisai learner is naturally curious. They're keen to learn. And on top of that, they're more likely to engage in the learning process when they find the environment safe and significant. And Melvin was talking about the environment being conducive to learning. We found we've achieved this through smaller class sizes, with classes of no more than 15 students, We found that we've been able to do it through our delivery method of using different communication channels to allow students to be able to take part. You see on the right-hand side, there's also another sort of 3 key areas. We have pastoral support and wellbeing support for our students, whether it be through our wellbeing centre on the Nisai Virtual Academy or through our student support team in Vietnam. We have co-curriculars, so we have cross-curricular activities. And in addition to that, and where our team in Vietnam have been really proactive, is not just promoting the academics, but also enrichment activities as well. And there's many activities that go on at the weekend. But ultimately, the Nisai Global School was pupils at the centre by creating an inclusive and student-focused environment where every pupil has the opportunity to excel and achieve. So Melvin's covered this. The lower secondary, upper secondary and advanced levels will be things you'll now be aware of. Matching that in with UK curriculum, that will be year 7 to year 9 for lower secondary, year 10 and 11 for upper, and then year 12 and year 13 for A levels, for advanced. You'll see here we've broken those down into the IGCSEs, the AS and A levels. For those working maybe at a slightly lower level, but who still want to achieve accredited, internationally recognised qualifications, Nisai also delivers functional maths and English, accredited by NOCM. And where we have project-based learning, such as the Sustainable Development Goals and Young International Leaders programmes, they're awarded a Nisai badge craft. So irrespective of level, students can achieve with Nisai, with the ultimate intention of being able to follow their chosen pathway. So Melvin's talked about the breadth of qualifications. And subjects. What I'd like to do now is just look at the specific subjects which we offer. So at Key Stage 3, so the lower secondary level, we offer English, Science, Mathematics and ICT, Global Perspectives, and a course called PSHE, which is Personal, Social, Health and Economic. This initial level is about building core skills in the subject areas. These courses are made up of 4 30-minute lessons a week. They cover, as I say, the lower secondary level. There's no qualification linked with that, but we do provide termly reports so we can see the progress that's being made by our students over the course of the year. There's no enrolment deadline here, so students can join at any part of the year. And if they do start after the start of the academic year, there'll be recordings available for them to access. Our secondary offer is on the screen now. So we do IGCSE English both as a first language and as a second. We have mathematics, environmental management, a coordinated and combined science, as well as economics and sociology. Melvin mentioned again about the importance of examinations and schools being able to support in that. All the qualifications which we offer have been agreed through organisations such as British Council, who are able to carry out the examinations for our students, and entry is done through those. The offer at IGCSE level, top one is for English. So it's a 2-year course, 4 30-minute lessons per week. You'll see at the end, the qualification information is set around 2 lots of exams with a speaking test that's assessed. At the bottom, this is the descriptor for our mathematics. So again, still 4 30-minute lessons, but there's 2 levels which we deliver at. We have the core, where the maximum grade would be a C. And then we have extended, where based on the ability of the student, they can achieve an A-star grade. And there'll be 2 exams that are linked to that qualification. And then at advanced level, so following the completion and success of passing IGCSEs, the natural route, then we'll be on to AS and A levels. And again, with English language, mathematics, psychology, thinking skills, and then the English general paper as well. Big difference here is the AS is over the 1 year, and then the full A level is delivered over 2. Our lessons are not half an hour, but they're 3 one-hour lessons per week. But then in and around the A-level lessons, as well as the IGCSE, there's self-paced learning activities and a homework piece of work to complete as well. Looking at a slightly lower level, we have functional and vocational study, so support for those in the use of day-to-day English and mathematics. We have the ESOL, so English Speakers of Other Languages International Programme, which is accredited by NOCM. And then the Nisai Passport to Work, which I mentioned earlier, which is an umbrella qualification, but includes functional mathematics and English, ICT and employability, as well as a vocational unit as well, which could be looking at customer service, hospitality, or for anyone wanting to go into the construction industry, the built environment. I think it's also important just to cover our Professional Development Academy. And whilst this isn't necessarily for school-age children, I think it's really important to understand the quality aspect of, one, what we deliver in terms of teacher training, but also understanding that we adopt the same principles with our teachers as well. So we have had great success in training trainers who are supporting children in a vocational setting, those who are involved in assessment, and also quality assurance and verification. Our teaching in the modern times is a program which is based on continual professional development. And one of the requirements of any Cambridge International School, whether online or offline, is that investment by the school to continually train and support their teaching staff. The result of that is the best possible learning experience for your child. Workforce development is something which we are looking to introduce at school level, is providing an opportunity for students who maybe don't look at university as a pathway, but want to look at either being employed or running their own business. Nisai has developed courses to promote e-commerce business, how to set up websites, how to identify what products should be sold. And from there, you have someone who goes from being an employee to an employer. So the employability element of the Passport to Work is key, but also this point about understanding about productivity, management, marketing, leadership are all really good qualities to be able to support them in moving forward. Let's say it's employability versus entrepreneurship. We are currently delivering a project to a number of young people on the basis of how to set up an online business, how to make it a success, and how to fulfill and sell orders online. For learners with high learning potential, we've had a huge amount of experience on that. Potential Plus is a charity in the UK who we work with to identify ways of supporting learners where the classroom environment might not be conducive to their learning. They might work too quickly because they understand the topics and they're not being challenged. As soon as they don't become challenged, we find that they can become bored and they disengage from education. And understanding that Our classes are timetable based on ability rather than age. It means that we can have a learner who is, say, 9 or 10 years old, so even below lower secondary, who's actually attending lessons at upper secondary because that's the right level for their ability. That then means that they can engage with peers within the classroom who are all working at a similar level. And that in turn then starts challenging them further. Learners with special education needs. So we have extensive experience of working with learners with autism, attention deficit. Again, these are learners who maybe struggle with the physical school approach, being in a class with lots of distractions. We work with learners who may be a little bit anxious or maybe have more severe mental health. But this goes back to my initial point about Nisai being an inclusive school and an inclusive organisation. Irrespective of background, we believe that everyone's got equal value and everyone should have a right to quality assured education. Our involvement with Cambridge International is very much around curriculum and the pathway that that can lead to, but we also need to make sure that our teaching standards are there to be able to engage children in their education. And as a final point, the international pathway, which Melvin has already talked about, so this natural progressive route through lower and upper secondary, benefiting from the accessibility of learning online. Like with Cambridge, we are very much about the academic element being really important and being able to prove that knowledge and that understanding. But also we need to develop skills as well. And the Cambridge curriculum allows us to be able to develop skills in collaboration, critical thinking, communication and creativity. And this then starts creating young people who leave Nisai as lifelong learners. They see the value in what they've learned and the way that they've learned as well. And ultimately, gaining a global perspective, should have taken that automation off, getting that global perspective of education on community, on values. And for the students who are currently with Nisai, I really hope you've enjoyed it and looking to progress onto the second year of your study. I've noticed a couple of our current students in there, but for anyone who is looking at Nisai as an option, then by all means, please get in touch with us. Just one final thank you to our team in Vietnam for putting on today's event. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you, David, for your interesting presentations. And now I think we can understand the missions and the purpose of Nisai, as well as how it is structured. Thank you so much. And that's also the first part of our today's webinar. For the second part, we have the representative of Nisai Global School joining us to provide information on how our students residing in multiple countries in Asia can still study Cambridge International Programs. First, I would like to introduce our student, Aisyah Koita from Indonesia, who is studying NS1 with Nisai. Aisyah will share with us their study experience. Hello, welcome to the webinar. Before you start, can you introduce a little bit about yourself?
Of course, I would love to. Hello, everyone. My name is Aisyah Koita, and I'm studying I'm a student in Nisai, and I'm studying in NS1 level. And my experience in Nisai is that my English has improved so much before I joined Nisai and after. It was really, really different because I used to fail a lot in grammar, and my grammar wasn't really good. I used to misplace and I used to not know when to use grammar, but now I'm really, really thankful because of Nisai. Now I know how to use grammar and when to use it. And also in Nisai that I'm really amazed of is that even though the time inside the class, you only have 30 minutes to study, we still could understand a lot and we could still take a lot of materials. No one is playing during class, which is really amazed me because usually in 30 minutes, not many students can understand the whole material. But in Nisai, all of my friends, including me, could understand all the materials in 30 minutes, which is actually amazing. Also, the teacher and how the teacher teach is really enjoyable. The teacher is really sweet. The teacher never judge, and the teacher will always greet you, hello, welcome to the class, feel free to do anything until the class starts. And the friends inside the class are really sweet, and they never judge. For example, you can't speak English very fluently when the first time you joined Nisai. Your friends be like, oh my God, your voice is so cute. Oh my God, your voice is so cute. And the friends are so nice. And inside in one class, you get to meet a lot of students from various different countries. For example, Japan, India, Vietnam, and more that I could never mention because there's a lot of students joining Nisai. And also in Nisai that I really love is that all students could cooperate and participate in class, because usually that was a really big problem during in class, because like shy students or students who don't really speak much in class, they used to just stay quiet and just like listen to the teacher without being a non-active student. But in Nisai, the teacher won't let you stay quiet or become non-active. The teacher will say, okay, I'm seeing the same names all over again. Let's try you. Why don't you try answering this question? The teacher really wants you to speak, which amazed me a lot because usually teachers don't pay attention to this, but I'm really amazed in Nisai. And also because Nisai is a bullying-free environment that I'm not used to, because I used to be bullied because my skin is black. I used to be bullied, and I used to be bullied because I come from Indonesia. I used to be bullied for that, but I'm so amazed that Nisai is a bullying-free environment and that I could enjoy my class in Nisai really well. I'm just so happy that I joined Nisai. And in Nisai, there are a lot of clubs, and the clubs are obviously fun because you get to meet new people, you get to learn brand new things, and it could boost your confidence and it could boost your talent to talk more in front of people and not be shy and not think, oh, people are going to judge me for my opinion, people are going to judge me for this, people are going to judge me for that, which is really amazing because I joined public speaking and debate club, and I've improved a lot because I also have problems with speaking in front of people. I used to get really nervous and mess up everything, but now I'm really happy that after joining the clubs, I can improve a lot. And overall, Nisai is a very good school. And I really love that you guys, and I hope you guys could enter Nisai and feel the same way as me. Thank you very much for listening.
Thank you so much, Asia. And that's our Nisai Asia, everyone. Thank you for her sharing. It's really honest, I think. So yeah, that is our Nisai. Next, we also have another student from Vietnam, Trần Lê Phương Anh. She's studying IGCSE with us, year 10. She has just received a scholarship from Kakanta Upper Secondary School in Finland. So, hello Phương Anh, can you hear us?
Yes, I can.
Okay, thank you so much for joining us. Before you start, would you please introduce yourself as well?
Yes, and good morning, good afternoon, good evenings to everyone who's joining in this meeting. And my name is Annie, and I'm 15 years old, and I'm studying at year 10 IGCSE level. And I'm going to study abroad at Finland. One of the most country has the best education in this world. And next, and so how I feel after I studied in Nisai, and I feel really relaxed and comfortable. I can study for myself, and I was not pressured by grades or tests and pressure from friends. And in Nisai, I can learn, I don't have to learn a lot of subject like in Vietnam before. And there's only one assignment, it's week. And I was really surprised about that. And I don't have to do lots of tests. I only have mock tests in each term to practice again what I have studied after terms. And about subjects that I studied, at Nisai, when I studied about literature, if I need to write a paragraph, I can choose which kind of compositions that I want to write. Description writings, narrative writings, or outs. And about analyzed paragraph, I only wrote about 200 to 300 words. And I also studied about greenhouse effect or sustainable development goals. And it really great because I can understand, is there any problems that people in this world had made and future solutions? Yeah, that's all. That's I want to share with you about what side I how I feel when I studied in Nisai. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you so much for the info for your sharing. And also congratulations. That is really great news to hear from you. We are glad that we are going on the right track, and we hope that we can continue to support everyone in their study path. And continue our event, we also want to introduce another student, Clayton, and their parents, Miss Jules, who is, Clayton is studying NS2 with Nisai. So hello, Clayton. Hello, Mrs. Jules. Welcome to share your experience.
Hello. Hello, everyone. My name is Clayton, and now I'm studying the NS2 of Nisai. I'm also from Indonesia. I enrolled in the Maths, English, Science, ICT, and Global Perspective subjects. But my Maths is in the NS3. Now, I would like to start sharing my experience in learning with Nisai since last year. First of all, during class, I noticed that my classmates like to talk a lot in the public chat, and sometimes, out of their messages, I can learn a couple of things about what happens in their country. And also, sometimes these messages would contain questions about the points that I missed about a certain topic. But even if I did miss some points about the topic, I can just look through the recordings again. So this feature is very useful for me. And as for the teachers, some of them are funny in almost every lesson. For example, in my class, there is Mr. Calvin and Miss Aphrodite. They are quite funny in almost every lesson. But even though the other teachers perhaps haven't even tried to be as funny as them, no matter whether they are funny or not, they are good teachers to me. And the PowerPoints are clear and concise. That makes learning a bit more easier. As for the Nisai academic subjects, I think that they helped me to gain more knowledge and understand a bit more about several parts of my life. For example, in science, I learned about how to calculate density, pressure, and the turning moment of a machine. And for global perspectives, I learned a bit of how our human society works, with criminal activities and laws, and learned some examples of discrimination. In English, I learned that you could use several language techniques to achieve a certain purpose. For example, we can use rhetorical device and emotive language to achieve persuasion. And in Nisai, there are clubs. I joined the debate club in hopes of improving my confidence, public speaking, critical thinking, and my skills in making arguments. My confidence has improved since I joined the club, although I'm still struggling a bit. And the club has guided me to make constructed arguments, as well as how to use the evidences in the proper way. And overall, I think Nisai has been very helpful to me, and I learned a lot from it this past year. Thank you for listening.
From me as Clayton's mom, I really like Nisai because like Nisai provide everything that my sons need, that Clayton's need. What he said is really true, that he gained confidence more since he joined the debate club at Nisai, especially for the public speaking, because like he's a shy person. He doesn't really want to say something in the public, but since he joined the debate club, he gained the self-confidence more. But yeah, I believe that he also struggles and do more effort for it, but it's really good for him. Like the experience is really good. Also, for the recording, it's really helpful, and I don't think like many schools will provide the recording so the students can learn by themselves. So meaning like the student can be the independent learners, which is so good. So I really encourage, or perhaps like recommended Nisai to other parents too. And I know that Clayton's friends, like some of Clayton's friends also asked me about Nisai, and I said, I recommend Nisai if you want more experience in studying, independent studies. And also like when Clayton joined Nisai, Clayton also gained more time to writing books. So actually like, yeah, he is writing a book, a story book. So yeah, it's good. It's good experience for Clayton and also for me. Thank you, Nisai. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, teachers and friends. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you, Clayton, for sharing your experience. Thank you, Mrs. Jules, for supporting us. It really means a lot. And throughout the sessions, now we can clearly see that our students will be well equipped with knowledge and they will be ready for their future challenge. And I think that is the end for our second part. Now let's start with the Q&A sessions. Throughout the first and the second part, we have a few questions sent into the chat box. Also, we have some of the questions from parents from all over Asia sending to us while they register into this webinar. I think today we have about 20 minutes or more for Q&A sessions. So we will proceed with the questions that is picked up from the text chat first, and then then we will proceed with those in the registration form. If you have any other questions, please ask in the text chat. And so we have the first questions. Since Nisai is no longer working with their Indian agents, how will assessment or examinations for Indian students will be carried out? Will it take place in local Cambridge school? So I think this question is for David. Can you please answer this question, please?
Absolutely, that's no problem at all. So we have agreements with British Council in many countries who when we choose the subjects which we teach, we make sure that it's in line with British Council examinations. So the entry goes to British Council and they would act as that exam centre. So we can support in that way. I think the benefit of that is the fact that we have agreement with them. They know very much about Nisai, our processes. There have been times where we've been speaking with other schools who will support in facilitating that, but our first route, and I think this one came from Leo, I saw it coming through earlier on, we'll be getting in touch with all students about the examinations and supporting parents in getting that examination entry done. So there'll be nothing to worry about there.
Okay, thank you. I hope that answers the questions. And we also have second questions. So it is, which is the difference between digital literacy and computing? What do students do in those classes? I think this question is for Melvin. So can you answer these questions?
Absolutely. Literacy basically, it looks at the end user point of view, where as a digital user of technology, what are the things that you need to take note of, as well as also to impart you with some skills in terms of using of the computing devices. So it's like, how do you, what are the certain basic rules of using the internet, and how do you protect yourself on the internet environment? So as an end user kind of point of view, whereas when we're looking at computing, then you are looking at how do you actually think in a, what we call computational method, process-wise, how do you develop softwares? So that provides the basics in which in the future, if you're interested, you can proceed to doing more developmental stuff for computers and creating of softwares. So you got to think of it as one side of it is looking at being a user, and the other side is being a creator of technology. I hope that makes sense.
Thank you, Melvin. Yes, I think that at least that makes sense to me. I'm not sure, but yeah, thank you. So we also have the third questions. I think this one is for David. What is the difference between the English language subject and the English general paper subject? So David, please.
No problem. So the two differences, so the English language paper we'd see as being more detailed and focused. So it's more about analysing of, or the analysis of text, features specific elements of language, as where the general paper looks more at communication and presentation, and the skills that are associated with that, and then the reasoning and interpretation of English language.
Okay, thank you, David, for the answers. I hope that clear out the confusions between the two lessons, two subjects. The number 4th questions, again, I think this one for Melvin. So are there any limit to the age of students, Cambridge students?
Thank you. So the question is basically any age limit. I think specifically, I think the student was asking about for the IGCSE and A level rather than age limit across each of the stages. Now, but the answer to all the both scenario, either at the primary, lower secondary, or the IGCSE and A level, is that there are no age limits. So pretty much, if the students are well prepared, especially for the IGCSE and A level exams, they can actually sign up with the external provider which Nisai is working with, for example, British Council, to take the assessment itself. But having said that itself, even if students were to take the exams early as compared to other students, say for the A-level exams, there is always the kind of admission side by the universities to decide whether if the students were mature enough to apply into or be accepted into the university programs. So it's not so much sometimes purely based on the qualifications, but also based on what they intend to do with that particular qualification that they receive. I hope it answers the questions. As I said, it can be taken in many different contexts.
Yes, thank you, Melvin. I think that does answer the questions. There's another question here for David. So one of our participants share that they like the learning process, but they think some students will be more excited if they can learn with the camera on. So David, can you explain why Nisai don't open the camera during the lessons?
I can do. So I think what we've always learned is, as we teach the lessons, having the camera off allows our students to focus on the material and what's being taught. This allows for less distraction. It also removes questions from students of, well, why doesn't that one person have their camera on and why does that one have it on? So it puts everyone on a level playing field. What we try to do during the additional activities that we provide through the team in Vietnam is many of those sessions are centered around activities where we do have a camera on. So it brings a two-dimensional approach to it. During the lessons, we don't, but the resources obviously being presented on the whiteboard area in the class. But the additional activities where there is still education and students are still learning, on those ones, we do have the cameras on and invite students to turn their cameras on.
Okay, thank you, David, for explaining. That is really an interesting questions. So another questions from Melvin. One of our participants is from Algeria and they are not good in English. They want to know if they can follow the studies, the programs.
Okay, I think it depends again on the context of the question. If like, which level are you trying to learn and what subjects are you trying to learn yourself? So the questions will be best addressed, in fact, by Nisai or the school that you are learning with. By Nisai, which means that, or the school, which means that they will most probably need to do a sort of test of your level of English and then give you advice what's the best way to proceed, either to directly, if they feel that you are okay in terms of having the right level of English, they might accept you into the program, or they might recommend for you to do some preparation programs before entering into the formal program itself. So I think this is a question that should be asked to the school or Nisai, if you decide to use Nisai as your learning provider, and they will give you the right advice.
If I can just add to that, and thanks for that, Melvin. Melvin's absolutely right. What we don't want to do is set students up to fail. So if the English level isn't right and you're not ready to go into that IGCSE or A-level qualification, then what we look to do is have the IGCSE, for instance, as a point to work towards. So as Melvin says, this thing about preparation or boosting the English level to make sure that you're at that point before actually starting the qualification is always going to be really important.
Okay. I think that's a really great explanation for the questions. So yeah, thank you both of our speakers for answering. And another question here. So our participant asked, what is the difference between thinking skills and English language subject? Could you please tell the details of subject NS1, PHSE, and ICT? So David, can you answer these questions?
Yeah, no problem at all. So English language is always going to be centered around the writing and understanding of text. Thinking skills moves more into this bit that I was talking about earlier about 21st century skills and critical thinking. So it's looking more at problem solving and also transferable skills. And what we found is we can learn the knowledge of a subject, but unless we know how to put that across, unless we know how to objectively look at a problem or come up with a solution, there will always be constraints and limitations if it is just purely knowledge-based. I think what the Cambridge curriculum allows us to do is build competency and skills within that learning experience. So I think that's it as a starting point. In terms of the PSHE, it'll be very much about elements linked with the SDG, so the Sustainable Development Goals, things like health and well-being. We will look at healthy diets, building healthy relationships, and so it's about the person. That's why it's personal, social, health, and economic. So it's very much, again, around to the life skills and the knowledge which you need to be able to deal with that.
Okay, thank you, David. So I have seen a lot of questions. So slowly we will go through most of the questions, I hope. We have question number 8 for Melvin. Which one of the program is the most recommended? Taking IGCSE, then continuing to the foundation year in university, or taking A-levels?
Right, thank you for the questions. We talk about, from IGCSE, should you take the A-levels or should you take the foundation program? I'll say that, IGCSE and A-level the A-level is a direct progression straight to the IGCSE. And the subjects that are IGCSE prepare students very well for the A-level. And the A-levels have been well accepted by many universities, including the world famous ones, for entry into very, very competitive programs itself. But having said that, we all have to recognize that the Cambridge A-level is indeed also very challenging, and not every students may be very successful when they take on the programs itself. And some students may therefore wish to consider either a foundation program or some sort of vocational program that is more less academically inclined, but more kind of hands-on into providing them alternative kind of pathway. Not as I said, not the top universities, but any other universities. So, but at the same time, we have to recognize that foundation program does have a lot of restrictions, because certain foundation programs are designed by particular universities into their own selected pathways. And therefore, students, when they're taking on the foundation program, they do have very, very limited pathway after they complete the foundation programs. So for instance, if you were to take some sort of general foundation program, and you might decide to do engineering or law or medicine in the future, it can be difficult. Whereas if you're taking the A-level does have a specialization, as you can choose the subjects that you want to take. It does offer a broader path with more university recognition. So you got to think very carefully about your own ability. You got to think about what programs or aspiration you have after completing the IGCSE, and based on that information itself, and decide what works best for you.
Okay, thank you for the answers. We have a lot of questions here. So another questions for David. So one of our participants asked that their daughter is 8 years old. She doesn't know English. Can she integrate Nisai? And another participant asked if they can join Nisai, and how can they join? They are 11 years old.
Okay, thanks a lot. So looking at the younger student, if there's no English, it will always, or knowing experience of English, then there will always be a difficulty there. What we have done and what we've put in place previously through support from our team in Vietnam. Is a program called Units of Sound, which can support in learning how to read English and how to speak English. However, it doesn't address the issue of actually understanding English. So one of the things which we are working on and which we will be looking to launch probably in the next 3 weeks, 3-4 weeks, hopefully, is an offer which is at a lower level to Units of Sound, which could be used with local support to be able to start learning English, and then through the use of live lessons, Units of Sound, and also word queue as well. We feel that that will then help. So purely online, because our lessons are delivered in English, it's going to be difficult. However, with local support, then it can work. For the inquiry about a year, about an 11-year-old falls very much into our core sort of age group of students. We can introduce you, depending on where you live, to a local contact, and we can show you what the virtual academy looks like, just talk through the subjects you might be interested in, and then from there we can discuss the next steps that go forward. Part of any student coming to Nisai is an assessment which we do to identify what level students are working at in both English and mathematics, and we do the timetabling then based on that. So that would form part of the onboarding exercise. But if you just let us know where you are, and then we can put you in touch with the right people.
Okay. Thank you for answering the questions. The following questions is for Melvin, and what's the difference between the A-level and IGCSE? So Melvin, can you please answer these questions?
Sure. The IGCSE is usually delivered in year 10 itself, whereas the A-level program is delivered 2 years after the IGCSE. So at IGCSE level, if students were to fully learn it at that particular qualifications, it's a broad education covering different subjects. So usually at IGCSE, students which is learning only one curriculum, right? Not multiple, because there are options of multiple. Students will be doing something like 7 to maybe 6 to 10 IGCSE subjects. But once they move on to A-level, as I mentioned earlier, students will need to specialize, in which the number of subjects that students do will range from 3 to 5 A-level subjects. At this level, they are really preparing for study at the university. So the content and the skills that students learn at A-level are much higher, closer to the university level as compared to the IGCSE.
Okay, thank you for the answers. That's a lot of useful information, and I think that those answers the questions. And I think it is almost our time, end of our time today. There are a lot of questions, and I know that parents also want to ask more, but we are running out of time. So if you have any other questions, please contact our CAS team or send us questions via emails, and we will reply to you as soon as possible. And thank you so much, Mr. Melvin Lim and David Lester, for joining us today and making this webinar possible. Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you everyone for joining. Thank you, Mr. Melvin and David.
And so that is the end of our webinar today. We hope that after this webinar, everyone here will understand more about Cambridge International Programs and Nisai Global School. And in the upcoming time, on the 12th of August, we will also host a talk show called, its name is My School A to Z on Zoom. And we will also invite our teachers and professors from the UK to share with parents how Nisai teams support their students in learning progress. Parents and students will also have chance to voice their questions and discuss their concern with our teachers. For more information, please check our official sites and follow our emails. The live stream will be ending soon. The recording will be posted. So thank you everyone and goodbye.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye-bye.